Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love. It's Tuesday, the 18th of November. And apologies for not getting any videos out earlier. There's been all sorts of problems with Cloudflare, like a big hack or I don't know, whatever. Cloudflare's been down, and so too, therefore, has lots of websites that use their services. Anyway, we got a couple of stories to get through, guys. So we're going to do that right now. Smash the like button for me if you enjoy the video. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Notification bell buttons, you know by now they should be squeezed. And of course, dropping a comment or two will always pique my curiosity on what you guys have got to say about what I'm about to say. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's start with this story from, it's out from Sports Witness today. It's saying that there is a belief that the club need to sell to Tottenham for 60 million euros. Seen as a very good player. This player is, of course, Takefusa Kubo. It says Real Sociedad may welcome Tottenham Hotspur's interest in Kubo as they need money to balance their books from time to time. That's according to journalist Marco Anthony Sande. He's been part of a roundtable of sorts of Tottenham's interest in Kubo, according to Cope Gipuskoa. No idea. A report in England this week linked Tottenham with a 60 million euro move for the Japanese star. It's not the first time they've been linked either. Spurs were credited with an interest back in August too. It was claimed at that point 60 million euro release clause was not a problem. Their interest has not gone away. And according to these reports here, let's get to the quotes. There's no debate here. I mean, if Tottenham pays 60 million euros, it's a very good offer. And the shame is that we won't get the full amount, but half. This is what Sociedad legend Bigio Goritz said. He said, another guy called Mauri Idiakes, I feel like I'm an idioto trying to pronounce these names, then detailed why that is the case. He explained that while Kubo has a 60 million euro release clause, Madrid are due 50% of any profit. That was included in the original deal that saw him move to La Real. Sociedad paid 7 million at that point, so half of the 53 million profit they'd make will head back to Real Madrid, of course. It all depends on whether Tottenham want to pay that. Reports have indicated since August that the figure is not an issue. Mundo Deportivo Gipuzkoa add to that today. They report that Kubo is seen as accessible, though not necessarily inexpensive. He's cheaper, though, than the likes of Ivan Toney may prove to be. I'm not sure why they're comparing Ivan Toney to Kubo. Kubo, of course, is a right winger predominantly, can play off the left, but for sure is mainly off the right. Listen, you know how I feel about this one. I'm a big fan of him, right? I love the player, but I've got to be honest. I think that he is set. His sort of size and stature and style of football is more linked to that of the Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, whatever. His output's fantastic. This is versus midfielders where he can play as a central midfielder as well, or a right-hand sided midfielder. And against attacking midfielders and wingers, obviously the output is pretty small. But you're looking at players that can take players on. Tottenham are certainly looking for players that can take players on. Progressive carries in the 80th percentile, 79th percentile, 4.6 carries a game. We don't really have players. We have players that can carry the ball. We haven't really got players that can progress the ball too far up the field. This is if he's playing either as a midfielder or as a winger. Successful take-ons, 2.58 out of the take-ons that he attempts. He also gets stuck in defensively. And if you're looking for just sort of green bars, then you're going to see them with this guy. Like, he's a very, very gifted technical player. But if you've been listening to my channel for the last few months or whatever, I've been saying pretty consistently that I just feel like this guy and many others are maybe the sorts of players that are just a horses for courses kind of conversation. And for me, the shift in the football in the Premier League to being about bigger, stronger, faster, athleticism, those sorts of things. He's definitely quick and pacey, but is he going to get blown over by a strong gust of wind, or is he going to get knocked over too many times by players that are just bigger in stature, bigger in size? And that's what I worry about with him. 60 million euros is about right for the sort of caliber of level of player he is. Like I say, no questions, no concerns there. Shot creating actions, 4.5 shot creating actions per game. For something that he does that leads to a shot, we certainly need to be able to create more chances at Tottenham. How about goal creating actions? He does something every other game, essentially, or 4 games in 10 that lead to a goal for his football club, for Sociedad, 84th percentile. Goal creating actions from a take-on. This is the sort of thing that Tottenham are looking for, I'm just not sure how they're going to squeeze. Is he going to play off the right-hand side where he likes to play? Or is he going to be moved over to the left-hand side to have that sort of balance? Can he play over there? Are we going to look to put, if we were to sign someone like him, are we going to look to put someone like Mohamed Kudus on the left-hand side? Is he just being brought in as another number because we don't have that many options in that sort of part of the field that are at top level? Listen, there's, like I say, statistically and on the eye, there's absolutely nothing to dislike about this guy. Progressive carries, like I say, 4.6, 99th percentile. Carries into the final third, 93rd percentile. Carries into the penalty area, 99th percentile. In terms of getting on the ball and then taking it into the danger zone, Takefusa Kubo in the Spanish La Liga system is one of the best. He really is. The only concern I have with him, I don't want to sound like I'm, sort of harking on about this, but I just do think that the Premier League is a lot more physical, and it's a concern for me, not being overly familiar with how well he rides the tackle, for example. Is he someone that's going to get knocked over too easily, or is he someone that can benefit from it? Not every player who is smaller in stature struggles with physicality. It's about how they use their body and whether they are kind of physical and feisty. And if you actually look, just quickly, progressive passes received, he's on the receiving end of all of the progression that comes from Sociedad's midfield. In terms of like fouls drawn, right? He's a guy. This is one of the good aspects. He can draw fouls galore. He could draw fouls all day long. So if we're going to continue on this set piece, sort of versatility thing where we're looking for corners, looking for throw-ins, long throw-ins for Danzo to take hold of, looking for free kicks in dangerous areas, and you have someone like him, you have someone like Xabi Simons, and in the future, hopefully next season, you have someone like James Maddison, all of whom are very good at drawing fouls. Then as you bring back the players like Luka Vuskovic and you have Micky van der Ven that are already outperforming in terms of the output, we are very, very capable at set pieces. This is another option, another attack, another technique in which to kind of ferment those sorts of decisions and directives by the football club. So there's nothing to dislike about the stats, and there's really nothing to dislike about the player. I'm a massive fan of his. I really am. But, fair's fair. You've got to call it as you see it. And for me, the question mark is all about his physicality. Anyway, the story goes on to say that essentially that Tottenham are very much interested in putting in a £60 million bid and €60 million bid. And I think that's, for that sort of player, that sort of caliber, like I say, I don't think it's unreasonable. It's a big deal to Real Sociedad. They'll only get 30 million of it because the other 30 will go, give or take, will go back to Real Madrid, which will be interesting. So keep an eye on that one, guys. Keep an eye on that one. Let's move on to the next story. And the next story is about Ivan Toney. We've got Matt Le Tissier, who sort of obviously doesn't used to be involved in obviously with Sky Sports and things. He, since he's become probably a better fit for the Conspiracy Channel. By the way, get and check out Rabbit Hole Ramblings if you're interested in that. He's more into that sort of stuff these days. But he's working with Football Insider, and Matt Le Tissier believes Ivan Toney could be called up to the England squad at the World Cup next summer. He says that he appears to be frozen out by Thomas Tuchel, so he could benefit from a move back to the Premier League, with Spurs already rumoured to be interested. Le Tissier said, I'd be surprised if Tuchel didn't take one back up to the World Cup. If that's an Ivan Toney, perhaps, if he carries on scoring at the rate he's scoring out of Saudi, or even if he comes back in January. It's a possibility. He was linked to Spurs a little bit, so it's a possibility he might come back to the Premier League just to try and bolster his chances of playing at the World Cup. That's the option that I think that would make a lot of sense to Ivan if he's really got that burning desire to play at the World Cup finals. Ollie Watkins is completely out of form at the moment, low on confidence, so the chance is there if that's what Ivan wants. I'm pretty sure that I did read a couple of days ago or yesterday that Al Ali have basically poo-pooed any chance of him leaving in January. They don't want him to leave. I've made this argument to you guys all the time since this story has been sort of front and center in the Tottenham zeitgeist recently. I've said I don't understand. He's not going to leave on a permanent, even if he was willing to do so. What's the right price? Do you want to take that risk on a guy that hasn't necessarily, there's nobody that has left Saudi Arabia and come back directly to the Premier League. I think Jordan Henderson's the only guy who's gone back via Ajax, and he's a different sort of caliber player. Ivan Toney's 29. He's having wonderful output ratios in Saudi. There is that question mark around, has all that money? Has he got a little bit stale? I don't think so. Does he want to get into the World Cup? It makes it certainly interesting. But as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure I did read somewhere that Al Ali have basically said they're not interested in letting him leave. And if he was to leave on a permanent, he'd have to sacrifice all of that money to a major tax bill, or a lot of it, which he's probably not going to do. He's earning 400 grand a week over there with bonuses closer to 500,000. And, I think it's all tax-free as long as he stays there a little bit longer. If he was to try to come on a loan deal for 6 months, which is what has been the argument, then you'd have to have Al Ali's permission. And are Tottenham going to pay the full salary? No. Would Ivan Toney sacrifice half his salary and say, I'll forego half the salary to make this happen on the off chance that he gets into the England team? Possibly, but I'd be surprised. And so are Al Ali going to be okay with losing their star striker and also picking up 50% or something of the salary to make it even a financial viability? I would imagine no. I would. I'm not getting my hopes up on Ivan Toney. However, there's lots of people that are far closer to the situation and know far more than I do in the kind of journalistic sense that are saying, it does make sense and it is more likely. And you never know. The World Cup year makes sort of strange things happen. It might be interesting to see if you can get an Ivan Toney. And we do have room on our loan criteria, our loan numbers. I think we only have 1 or 2 loanees at the moment in our entire squad. And so I think we do have room to be able to bring some more in. Even if there's problems in that regard, there might be a chance that Tottenham end up making permanent the move for João Palhinha to take him off the loan register and then be able to bring in someone like an Ivan Toney. I'm not sure what the rules are, but of course there's also rumours out that Tottenham are looking to bring in Rodrigo, and that would definitely be a loan in my opinion. I don't think he wants to come to Tottenham full-time, but he might want to come to Tottenham just to get those minutes. Like I've said to you guys quite a lot recently, I do think that one makes sense if Tottenham can get it done. You bring in a Rodrigo if you can on loan, unbelievable. You go and get an Ivan Toney if you can on loan. I'm not so sure it will work, but and then things are looking good. If you bring in a Takefusa Kubo, is that the guy that you want to have in your squad? Listen, great player, fantastic player. He really is. But Tottenham have had a lot of players that are small and tricky. Manor Solomons haven't really worked out. Brian Hills haven't really worked out. And in the past, we've had others as well that, it's a specialist position and in a system that is moving towards that bigger, stronger, faster thing. I'm not sure he's my number one choice by far. And the fact that he plays predominantly off the right-hand side, to me, I think there's obviously other areas that I look at. And I've mentioned these names to you before. Rodrigo or Kenan Yildiz or Ademola Lookman, who might be going to Galatasaray, or Semenyo, who is out. There's rumours again today that Tottenham apparently really do think that there's a chance that they could get it done because Bournemouth really can't reject if the right number is placed to Bournemouth as a bid at the right time on the right day and gets ahead of people. And other clubs, maybe Liverpool and Arsenal, have got to do a bit of selling or reworking or prioritising other areas before they can focus on Semenyo. Maybe Tottenham can come in, put the right money down and get it done. And of course, those sorts of things are dream world scenarios. For me, big fan of Kubo, but I'm not sure it's the perfect fit. Let me know your thoughts. And last story for you guys before I think it's the last story before I round off, is there is an interesting story out today from Germany regarding Castello Lukeba, a player that I've sort of been bringing to your attention for ages. Like, he's 22 years old, left-footed, left-sided centre-back, can play off the left-back role, super fast, very strong, good in the air, kind of Evan and Dicker kind of vibes. Massive fan of him as well, by the way. And according to the story, that Castello Lukeba's contract includes an €80 million release clause. It's unclear whether that is next summer or this January. Reports indicate that RB Leipzig might sell him for approximately €60 million, according to FT. I'm not sure if that's Financial Times, or I'm not sure what FT is. Anyway, Tottenham Hotspur showed interest in Lukeba in the summer just gone. I've just got an article for you here to show you. If I bring it up on the screen super quick. This is the article from August, I think it was, or July maybe. Tottenham Hotspur are eyeing a move for RB Leipzig star Castello Lukeba in a discount deal this summer. And now, don't forget that Leipzig have got another player that is a left-sided centre-back who's about 6'4". I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Let me see if I can find it. And so they do have sort of talent in that regard. In their squad that can come in a world where Lukeba was to be sold. I can't find it. Let me see if I can find the RB Leipzig team for you. Sorry, guys. Should have had this up beforehand. I think his name's like Batishwe or something. Let me have a look. El Chadiel Batshiabu, 20-year-old. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", pretty quick, big, strong, fantastic in the air, and he's left-footed, left-sided. And so he's supposed to be a super talent, one that's going to be increasingly part of Leipzig's team. And so maybe Castello Lukeba is someone that Leipzig could find an extra 60 million in terms of revenue from. They'll make a nice profit from when they bought him from France a couple of summers ago. Be an interesting story. As I've been saying to you guys for a long time, I believe that Tottenham need, I think we all do, this is not me saying something that none of you think, we need a left-footed, left-sided centre-back. There's not that many around. They are the lesser-spotted centre-back. They're incredibly resource-friendly. They are incredibly, they're scarce as a talent. And so if you buy them, they usually don't sort of depreciate in value like other players do, right-footed players in the defence department, for example. And this guy can play long balls. He's a fantastic passer, Castello Lukeba. I'd be more than happy to see him come to the Premier League. He's super physical as well. He's just got that kind of, as I say, Evan and Dicker vibes about him that I just think are really attractive. And as a left-sided, left-footed centre-back, you could then play a back three. You could then release Micky van der Ven to be able to do a little bit more in the way of driving with the ball. You can put Romero into the middle of a back three, let him step up into the DM role and become that sort of 6 centre-back hybrid where he can then launch balls into the channel where we need to, especially in a man-to-man marking system. 15 teams in the Premier League currently employ man-to-man marking when pressing. And so there's only a few ways that you can kind of counteract those things. One is by winning your physical duels, hence the reason why you need bigger, stronger, faster. 2 is to play around it in clever, intricate 1-2 passes, which requires technicality. Or 3 is to sort of draw players out the way that Maddison used to do, bring the ball back, and then sort of go over the top into the channels. And those sorts of things require centre-backs or defensive midfielders that have wonderful passing talents. And we have one of those in Romero, but we're just not using him as well as we could be in the current system. It also, of course, playing a back three allows you to let Pedro Porro do what Pedro Porro wants to do more of, and the same with players like Destiny Udogie. So signing someone like Castello Lukeba for me would be a wonderful, just a player acquisition anyway. It would also make a hell of a lot of sense in regards the way that you can kind of create and control new environments, new strategies, new structures to the football club, which at the moment we can't really do. We certainly can't do those things with a back four. And even if you were to go to a back three right now, you'd likely need to have to wait for Radu Dragusin to get fully fit, match sharp, which he's nowhere near. He is back on the training ground. I think he played 45 minutes during the international break. And someone like Kota Takaya, who we still yet to see anything from. And I think that all of those sort of needs and those willingnesses to look for left-sided centre-backs and other centre-backs. Tottenham are inundated with transfer links to centre-backs. To me, it points me towards a hopeful thought and a plan that the Tottenham coaching staff have, that they want to be able to implement and include back three models into their options. They just can't do it right now because of the injury crisis and the squad makeup. If you want to reposition Micky van der Ven to a left back in a back four system occasionally, you would still need a left-footed, left-sided centre-back to not negate the requirement for balance in your build-up play. Anyway, that's it, guys. So interesting story about Takefusa Kubo. Let me know your thoughts on him. Interesting stuff about Castello Lukeba, and obviously interesting stuff that maybe we might be able to get Ivan Toney. I'm very hopeful for the January window that by February the 1st, we're going to have ideally 2 players into our squad. One of them, I think, will be a loan. The other one will hopefully be a permanent. That's excluding any deal for someone like João Palhinha, making that one secure. You can't work miracles in January, but we can sort of make the right decisions around hopefully short-term try before you buys or short-term cover to get us through to the summer, where then Tottenham need to go big, go huge, and really go about their business to be able to close the gap. And hopefully with some better luck with injuries and a little bit more attractive play, then we have the right coaching staff, the right squad, the right fan base, and everything can kind of push into better times. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.